introduce about myself, and later that you can introduce about yourself too. And then we'll get into the agenda of this meeting. So firstly, I myself Kumaran, and I'm a certified Azure data engineer working on the Azure cloud platform. And my major role is to go ahead and build pipelines or solutions around different teams that we work together. We work with machine learning team, we work with data scientist team, where data is a central component for them to build their models and help the teams to generate reports and do an analysis as part of the data analyst team. So my role is very pivotal. I go ahead and help to bring data from transaction sources, external sources, and merge it into a complete data lake platform and do the ETL processing involving data lakes, data factories, Synapse Analytics, and also deal with Databricks for machine learning modeling. So that's how about myself, participants, and coming up to my total years of experience. I have 8+ years of working experience onto the Azure cloud platform, where my role was to basically handle data integration. Now I'm into complete end-to-end pipeline development and deployment into Azure data engineering. So that's about myself. So the participants who are there, let's have a quick word with you as well. So Ram, would you like to introduce about yourself too?
Yeah, sure, Kumar. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do hear you, Ram.
Yes, yes. So myself Ram, and I'm working as a database developer with 5 years of experience. So I was completely into database development, relational databases. So I was very familiar with the SQL and the PL SQL, and I'm almost saturated in that. So that's a limited technology, right? So SQL and PLSQL, I'm very well known about that. So I just want to enhance the skills and improve the my skill set regarding data engineering.
So you're on a perfect track, Ram. Thank you very much. And next we have Lokesh.
Hi Kumar, this is Lokesh. I'm working as an Hadoop admin and I'm planning to upgrade to Databricks.
Awesome. We have Prasad on the call. Prasad, do you hear us? Okay. So let's continue with the agenda, people. See, let's get back to the agenda. Firstly, before I continue with the agenda, thank you very much, both of you people, to introduce about self and giving me clear picture about what are your expectation as well. Thank you very much. So without wasting time, I'll come to very much the point that is required to be discussed here. We know that data is coming from everywhere, from sources like databases. We have data coming from, sources that can be a device in the form of various data sets like structured data sets, unstructured data sets. The data is coming from everywhere. So the great trouble that organizations are facing is that they are not able to go ahead and utilize the data properly because data is coming from various sources and data is coming from various formats. That's officially the definition that they have put it for big data. So they said that the data is so big and so huge in its volume that they are not able to go ahead and utilize the storage properly, and they're not able to utilize the processing engine accordingly. That's where the big data came into picture. So Azure, Microsoft Azure is the cloud platform. Microsoft Azure is the cloud platform. So cloud platform have completely changed the landscape. That means how we used to go ahead and store the data and how we used to process the data has completely changed in the past few years as much as we started to adapt to cloud providers like Azure. So Azure is a cloud provider offered from Microsoft, which is very well known. So what exactly these cloud providers are offering us in terms of the data, which is the big data that we are handling, and what are the capabilities that these cloud providers do offer us? That is the need of the hour. That is the actual agenda, people. So let me take you to the skill sets that you can build in this module, which is the big data module, where you can become a data engineer on Azure Cloud Platform. So there are various routes that you can take into Azure, and very popular path that you can take is Azure Data Engineer. So you can see here Azure Data Engineer. So this module is sponsored by Microsoft. Microsoft has given various learning paths with regards to certifications. I'm very much now on the Azure Data Engineering Associate learning path. And this is the agenda for a complete discussion. So what I've tried to go ahead and highlight is people, the data that is coming from various sources that we had termed to be the big data. Now we are in the world of big data, and how cloud providers has changing the way that we store this big data and process this big data is the entire discussion or the agenda for today's session, which is popularly called the learning path as Azure Data Engineering Associate. So participants, are we good everyone with the agenda? Ram, Lokesh, Prasad, are we good?
Yes, Kumar.
And
Yes.
participants, once you have any questions, don't feel free to stop yourself. You can post me questions in the chat. I'll pick those questions. Even if you don't get the chance to answer those questions, I will take by end of the session. Okay, so now coming straight on to the Azure Data Engineering Associate. So who are called as data engineers? What is by definition of Azure to be called as a data engineer? So Azure expects that when you join a learning path where you have to get yourself as a data engineer associate certification done, it's an individual like you and me, where you know how to get data from various sources. We look at their way to get this skill set done. So an Azure data engineer is the one who gets data integration, transformation, and consolidation, the data sets that you get from various sources that can be either structured data sets and unstructured data sets into those structures, data structures that are suitable for building analytic solutions. Pretty straightforward. That means as a data engineer, all I have to build is a skill where I should know how to fetch the data from various data sources. That data source can be a structured data set, that can be an unstructured data set, that can be a structured storage with regards to structured data sets and unstructured data sets, where I can build some analytics out of it. I can do some kind of analysis on top of it. And this is what is exactly driven in terms of services in Azure also. So what Azure says that Azure data engineering certification is expecting you to handle data from sources and process them. And this is what is also mentioned in Azure skills that are measured. So if you look at their skills that are measured, they measure your skills, what you should be in a position to design and implement the data storage. Remember this keyword, design and implement the data storage, followed by design and develop data processing. So these things form the vital piece of data engineering on Microsoft Azure. If you want to go ahead and consider yourself, these are the two major principles that you have to understand and remember. So it is all about the storage, where you get to store your data, followed by the way you get processing of your data done. Now, is the concept clear, people? What is data engineering associate is expecting? Store your data and process your data on top of Microsoft Azure. In a nutshell, you store your data and process your data using Microsoft Azure. So participants, are we clear with the exact outcome of a data engineer associate, everyone? Participants, everyone, are we good?